There's so many good parts of the show. This show has made me realise that actually I really want to do something to do with these issues. I wasn't there to be the model that I've always wanted to be. That wasn't why I joined. I never really wanted to be a model. I joined because I like the subject. I like the debate. You don't see disability where you should. It's not in adverts. There are no models that are disabled. You know, it's a racism in a way, and it's wrong. If we, as disabled people, want to change that, then we are going to have to do our best to change that. IMPerfect was started after I organised a fashion show and I used a whole load of disabled girls. We came up with this concept of imperfect, you know, I'm perfect, the play on the word, you know, what is perfection, who is perfect when no one is perfect. What we're trying to do is really empower and inspire young disabled people, but also draw attention to them. That's where I've kind of taken my life now.
So this is going to be Sophie Morgan's second visit to Toronto in a very short period of time. She was here a few months ago to help publicize this series, which ran on the Channel 1 and which featured a group of 8 young women who were competing to become, well, a fashion model, but with a fashion model with a difference. Each of the women had some kind of disability. There were missing limbs, brain injuries, hearing impairment. And they were all looking for a shot to become a professional model. Sophie was a participant in that competition. The series did enormously well, blockbuster ratings on One, and I think it acted as a spur for Sophie in terms of what she's going to do with the rest of her life. This is Sophie Morgan.
Hi.
How am I doing?
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Hi. Is it working? I suppose I'm going to kind of start from the beginning. Just to let you know a little bit about my situation, I had a car accident when I was 18 and I broke my spine. So as a result, I'm a paraplegic for life, probably. Hopefully not, maybe, we'll see. So I think to explain a little bit about why I'm here and where it all started, it's hard to really pinpoint where it did start, but I had my accident. And I came home and I kind of was a bit unsure of where I was going to go, what I was going to do. I was initially going to study law, but I had my accident on the night of the end of school, basically. For us, it's our A-levels, it's our final exams, and I had the accident that night. So it was a very pivotal moment in my life. And I kind of woke up after intensive care and just said, actually, this is not going to work for me. I'm not going to do law. I want to do something that I love, something that really, you know, gets me going. So I studied art. So I started my first year of college, and when I was at school, I got a phone call from the BBC. And they were looking for very young and very ambitious, but also kind of adventurous and brave and maybe stupid, disabled people. And I thought, well, that's me. So I went along and I went for an audition. And what they were planning on doing was doing the first ever expedition across Nicaragua. And they were taking 11 disabled people with various disabilities, so you had all physical or sensory. So 2 people in a wheelchair, there was a whole group of amputees and some with spina bifida and various different conditions. So a real diverse bunch of people. So we went, I went for my interview, I got through, I think because I was very stroppy and he liked that about me. He thought I'd be good on telly because I was obviously going to, you know, say bad things and do things that were not quite right. So we did this expedition and it was incredibly successful in the UK. It was very much the starting point for people to start seeing how disabled people are. That yes, you see them in society, but you never really get to know them properly. And this TV show really broke down, I mean, it was called Beyond Boundaries. So it really did break down the boundaries, and people started to see, you know, have people come up to me on the street saying, oh, it was so nice, I got to know you and not see your chair. And I was like, well, obviously, but you know, this was obviously something new to them. So after that, I finished the show. I got amoebic dysentery, which was fun, and had to come home about 2/3 of the way through the expedition. So unfortunately, I never finished it, but it was an incredible experience, and I kind of came back thinking, well, if I can do that, I can do anything. But ironically, I can go through the jungle, but I can't go around London. You know, it doesn't really work very well. Our society isn't really geared up for anything properly, as I'd like it to be. Anyway, so unfortunately, I was struck down, as most paraplegics are, with a pressure sores, and I was bedridden for 2 years. So I was unable to finish college, my art degree. So I was in a bit of a, for want of a better word, because I hate the word depressed, I think it's a stupid word, but I was, I suppose, a little bit depressed. And I said to my dad, I was like, I need to get away. So he said, right, off you go. Go away. So I went to Thailand. And I went there to kind of heal and get better. And when I was there, I got a phone call, another phone call from the BBC, saying we were looking for, again, some young and excitable and interesting and but pretty disabled people. So I was like, well, this is a bit of an interesting kind of concept. And I came home from Thailand and I went to the audition, and they were looking for young girls that wanted to model. So I got involved in this show that you saw the clip of earlier. It's been shown in Canada now, and it was very, very much the catalyst, the beginning point for me and where I am now. And this is what I want to talk a little bit about. I suppose this is the focus of what I'm here, because I mean to follow these women that are talking about instigating change. This is why I'm here, really, because what I want to do, what Britain's Missing Top Model really did, was it started to show people exactly how much disabled people can do. It removed this stereotype. So anyway, I came runner-up on the show, and I went home a little bit disgruntled. I should have won that. And I didn't. But I came back, and I got back into my art. So this is one of the paintings I started with. This is a very cathartic thing for me. This is Kate Moss. And the idea was that I wanted to kind of express somehow this idea that the juxtaposition of beauty and disability can exist. So I started making these paintings, which may seem a little bit morbid, but I really wanted to express that disability can happen to anyone. It does happen to lots of different people for lots of different reasons, and that beauty can still be there, and women can still exist as you know, as beautiful and as everything that a woman can be. That's Kate Moss, and next this is Christy Turlington. The series is removing clothes, so it does look a bit weird, but the idea is that it's an amputation, but they're still very beautiful women. At this time, in the UK, a young girl named Riam Dean was sued Abercrombie and Fitch because they fired her because she was wearing a prosthetic arm. It was huge news. I don't know if it reached over here, but it was huge news at home. And I approached Riam and I said, this is ridiculous. You know, we can't stand for this. And she obviously was very brave in standing up against this huge company. And she won her case. And I said, right, we've got to start something. This is a great platform. Let's use this terrible story and let's do something positive with it. So we formed IMPerfect. IMPerfect is what you saw a little bit earlier. It was a clip about it earlier. It was a very kind of exciting and amazingly fun project. What we wanted to do was focus on young disabled people. So we went out and we recruited and we found and we were approached by so many amazing, young, inspiring. Well, to be honest, I hate using that word because they're inspiring because they are just great. They're not trying to be inspiring. They're just amazing. All these young people that were just disabled but getting on with their lives, doing degrees and studying and making things happen, setting their own businesses, all these amazing things. So it was a really fun and incredibly kind of new thing because disability is very associated with old people in a way. So we were, you know, a young bunch of kids all doing this. So we started off, and we're now doing lots of different things. This is Riam, who got fired from Abercrombie without her prosthetic here. But we are doing showcases in the UK where we kind of get young disabled talent, and we showcase it. We put on a play, or we do an art exhibition, and it's a really positive, fun thing to be involved in. And it's now spread out into Europe. So we've got IMPerfect Europe, which is really, really fun. This is the girl that actually won the modeling show I was on. And we made some clothes. We just got creative. We just wanted to do something fun, change perceptions, have a bit of a laugh. And this kind of led me on to this next project that I'm doing, which is with the Canadian designer Izzy Camilleri. I don't know if any of you would have heard of her, but she's an incredible designer. And she has started, this is Izzy in the middle, the first ever clothing label that is designed for people who are sitting down, like me. So I met Izzy. These are examples of her clothes. She's doing something that is very thoughtful. And I think one of the resounding messages from this morning is that if people want to instigate a bit of change, they really have to do it themselves, and they really have to be inspired and touched by the people that they come into contact with, and then use their talent to kind of do something with it. And that's really what Izzy's doing with these clothes. She's not disabled, but she was touched by somebody who was disabled, and she thought, actually, I'm going to use my talent for good. And so she went away, and she's doing this label. This is an example of one of the jackets that she's cut out at the back, so people with high-level injuries, for example, you won't probably think about this this often, but can't dress themselves, and so it's got zips to help people put the clothing on. Again, examples here of a leather jacket. These clothes are things that are very inaccessible to people in wheelchairs. I mean, this is not a big issue. We're not talking, like Sally was talking about, rapes, and this is small things that make a big difference. So giving people confidence and giving people kind of a security that they can look the way that they want to. This is women, obviously, but it's for men as well, to be disabled and to be able to express yourself as you want to in your clothing. So it's a kind of very little step, but it's a very exciting step. And Izzy and I are working together now to get this clothing label into department shops. So it's accessible for people to go and do this. And I mean, it could be used by people that aren't in wheelchairs if you want to, but it's really just something that is going to cater for us. So this moves me on to the kind of final thing that is the most exciting thing about what I'm doing with my time at the moment, which is this thing called a mannequin. I'm very, very passionate about trying to, as you can tell, trying to get fairer representation of disability in the high street. Because, again, it is a very small thing, but there's an enormous amount of young disabled people that are very ostracized. And I think the fashion industry is, it's obviously, everybody knows how elitist it is, but it's so powerful. And I think that if I can crack in and try and change a little bit of it, it will start to help people. It will start to help young people feel included and do the things that they want to. So what I've done is I've designed, for want of a better word, a chair. This is called a mannequin. I've just designed it, and the idea is that it is a wheelchair for a mannequin. A very strange and weird little idea, but the idea will be that it will go into a shop, it'll go into a shop window, or it'll go into an in-store display, and a mannequin will sit in it. As you can see in my next slide, if this wants to work, a mannequin just sits in it. It's a very simple thing, very, very straightforward, and is designed to be as kind of easy for the shops to take on as possible, because I know they're frightened of doing this sort of thing. But it is kicked off at home. It's very, very exciting. It's going to be spread out nationwide in a department shop called Debenhams in the UK. And this is the first thing that has ever happened with disability and the high street. And it's incredibly exciting, and I'm very, 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 very proud to be part of this little movement that's happening back at home. And yes, I'll leave it at that. I think over the last few days, I've been sat here kind of thinking about everything I've been told, all these incredibly inspiring women, and through my experiences in my life, I found that the people that have made changes, the people that have opened their minds and opened their arms to include disability, have been people that have been touched by it, people that have it in their family, or have had a friend, or have seen a television show and been inspired by it, or they've seen disability for what it really is. It's not a stereotype or something that they can't approach. It suddenly they normalize it in their own head, and then they can go out and normalize it in the work that they do. So television producers wanting to make shows where they use disabled presenters, which is a big thing at home at the moment. There's a lot of disabled presenters on kids' shows, which is great, so kids get used to seeing disability and la. And then again with Izzy. Izzy has been touched by a disabled person. She's doing something incredible. She's using her talent for good. And I think whenever I get the chance to come and talk and be given the platform to speak, I often try and use it as a kind of a plea. Just what I really want to express is that if you have the opportunity, and you're all probably people of power, or people in a position to be able to make a difference, and if you do have the ability to be able to do it, you should. And I think that's one of the messages that we've heard again this morning, is that if you, like Sally, wanted to go and make a difference, she went and made a difference. And I think that if you have the opportunity to do so, you should make it your mantra for the day, again, your intention to help people. And we've heard a lot about equality of women, and we've also heard a lot about how, the difference there is a lot of difference between men and women, of course, but that we should be considered equal. And I'm here from a standpoint, yes, of course, I'm a woman, but I'm feeling very much that I'm trying to represent this disabled group of disabled people out there that don't seem to have a voice and deserve a voice. And I read a quote once, I'm going to finish on this because I'm sort of rambling, but I read a quote once that said, by Emily Dickinson, a poet, and she said that everybody is born different, so everybody should be treated the same. And that's really what I think we should try and do.
So, Sophie, did you ever figure out who introduced you to Izzy Camilleri?
I think it was you.
That's right.
You want some clothes?
Well, I wanted to read you two things that Sophie has said. This is about the car accident that 6 years ago left her paralyzed, chest down, and in that wheelchair. She said, "It's not the worst moment in my life." She said, "Some people want to see more grief, more self-pity, but the accident also made me more resourceful, more determined, happier." Extraordinary woman.
Thank you.
We're going to take a picture. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.